So, here to talk about Sunland News. If you don't know, Sunland News is a local email newsletter that I started about 6 or 7 weeks ago. But this video is about how I went from 0 to 500 subscribers in about 30 or so odd days, and for $0, for nothing. You don't have to spend money in order to do what it is I did in order to build Sunland News, 500 people. I'm super proud of that number. Let's get it. I'm gonna try to keep this video under 10 minutes and the least amount of cuts as possible, so just bear with me. One of the first things that I have learned by doing Sunland News is that all of these tactics, strategies, whatever, apply across the board no matter what it is you're building. As far as audience goes, I mean, if you're building a rocket ship, then maybe don't use this. But if you're building an audience, these kind of apply across the board, and it's something I wish I knew just a year ago as I sort of started a musical project that I still am doing. But I'm like, if I knew what it is I know now, like that thing would have went completely different. And I hope to take what I'm learning and apply it to all of these other different areas. But one is, bar none, I don't care what it is, go to where the people are already hanging out at. For me, it's been Facebook groups, Reddit. I haven't really found much on Discord, but Reddit and Facebook and offline, like people are already gathering in the area. Around here, there's markets, there's something called Friday Fest. There's people that gather, go to those places and just be curious out the rip. Like, if you go into a Facebook group and start promoting right away, maybe not the best, sort of strategy. People can kind of tell, like kind of a little sketchy, but go in there and ask questions, and those questions could become things that you end up writing about, that you end up creating things about. So it's not just sort of like, it's a patience thing, it's a practice in that, but it's also, a beneficial thing to you in the long run if you go in there with a curious mind, ask the right questions, and then start providing value to those people. Like for me, having something to do in and around the area is a really big thing, because people say, there's nothing to do in St. Lucie County. This is a bit of a false thing to say now that I've started Sunland News. Like there's plenty to do. It's just depending on like what you're into. Maybe you got to go up 30 minutes, down 30 minutes, but I think there's a lot to do in and around the area if you know where you're looking. So for me, I figured, well, why don't I start just sending the events out to people? That way they can sort of make use of it. And I went a step further. I actually made a game. I may be able to put a screenshot of it on the screen. I made a game for people to use. You don't have to go that far, but I'm a little extra, so I did that, and it's been like a huge driver of people coming into the newsletter and enjoying the newsletter. It feels like something they could actually like send to a friend, actually utilize every morning, etc. So to me, go to where the people are, provide value, and have like an 80-20 sort of split with selling. Like for every 10 posts, I only sort of promote or try to, ask for something 2 times, out of the 10. So 8 times I'm give. 2 times I may mention, by the way, can you follow Sunland News, or, link back to this, or whatever the case may be. So that is probably my number 1 tip, actually. Yeah, that's the biggest one. And I also just happen to be the first one in the video. Okay, number 2, if I can think. Oh, give the people what it is they want. Now, this is a little tricky. I tried to sort of have a catch-all title right there, but staying on the ground level of what's actually going on is obviously going to feed into the content, or intent. We're using the word intent instead of content. I'll have a video on that at some point in the future. But the things that you're making are obviously going to be driven by like what you're consuming. So staying on the ground level, back to asking questions, but also what you're consuming media-wise, social media-wise, are you reading other publications? Like all of these things matter as far as putting together a quality newsletter. I think that people can actually utilize. And this is also for any sort of other art, knowing what people, reading sort of the room, the cultural zeitgeist, if you will be beneficial, I think, in sort of building any sort of audience, in my opinion. So giving the people, what it is that they want, being on the ground level, I was born here. I'm from St. Lucie County. I was raised in St. Lucie County. So for me, this is very natural. But depending on what you're doing, it may be not so natural. Also, taking feedback too. Like one of the best things that kind of happened to me is I had a conversation with Iman. Shout out Iman, my cousin Iman. Love you. I was talking with Iman about the newsletter. I was, telling her, oh, we're going to do this and that, whatever. I was like, it's going to be 5 days a week. She was like, 5 days a week? Like, I feel like that's a little too much. And, at the time, to me, it wasn't even harsh, but, it made me think like, is there enough stuff to cover 5 days a week? And I slightly disagree with her. I think there is enough to cover, 5 days a week, straight up news. But what I did was I took the criticism, or I took the sort of analysis, and I said, what if I broke it up? What if 3 days a week I did news, and then the other day I did like a deep dive, something that's more long form, evergreen, sort of more flagship sort of style. And then one of those days I do an events list. And now, ta-da, we have sort of like the foundation of the newsletter, like how it actually functions, simply because of a little note that my cousin gave me. So take the criticism sort of in stride, and see if you can utilize it. If not, then pass along, but see if you can do something with it. So that is my number 2 tip. Number 3 amongst this list is leaning into your unfair advantage. Now, for me, I'm a filmmaker. I'm still working on like my little title, my little link in bio type of situation. But filmmaker's never gonna leave that. I am a filmmaker. I love film. I have loved film since as early as a child could love film. Like forever. I'm a very visual person. I sort of, see the vision of like how the newsletter should look and images I want. All of this has poured into what the newsletter has become, and it's a very visual sort of experience as much as it is sort of a reading worthy sort of experience. And that's not possible if I don't lean into that. So my advice in building anything, just like if I'm a musician and I'm building my audience online, if I'm a YouTuber and I'm kind of doing that now, I guess, but the niche is you are the niche. Like even locally there are other publications, but I think what's going to propel Sunland News to stand next to these other publications is my unique perspective, the people who help me, their unique perspective, the people who read it, like the unique perspective of the thing. The niche is you, so dig into the niche, put the walls up that is your personality, and grow the tree high instead of wide. Grow it high. That way people looking from elsewhere can see it from where they're standing from. That is my advice on the sort of leaning into your unfair advantage. I feel like everybody has one. I feel like you just got to search if you feel like you don't have one. So find it, see what it is, and I'm sure it's something. So those are the big 3 takeaways that I have sort of had since doing Sunland News. And sort of, moving forward, I know there's a few things that I can tweak. My goal by the end of the year is 5,000 subscribers. So we're at 500 now. So I want to get to 5,000. A couple things I haven't done yet is turn on ads. I have not done that yet. I've tested a few things, but nothing where I'm like, I've hit the button yet. Hence, this video is the $0 thing. So pouring back into the newsletter now, I feel really comfortable doing that because I think this is a multi-decade sort of project I'm embarking upon. Even past the newsletter, I think this is just going to be a thing. The newsletter will always be the core of it though. So I think investing in the newsletter now makes all the sense in the world to me. So that will be number 1. Number 2 is utilizing the other platforms to grow the email platform. I have not really done a great job of utilizing Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Like all of these platforms exist for a reason. It's really hard to pull people off platform nowadays because platforms want to keep the people there. Facebook doesn't want you pulling people off. That's why they make you pay for ads. But if I can figure out ways to use ManyChat or any other sort of interesting sort of mechanism to bring people into the newsletter, I haven't done a great job of that yet, but I'm going to do that. So that would be my number 2. And then my number 3 is just establish Sunland News as like a proper brand. I look at Sunland as like sort of the top, and then Sunland News sort of being a part of that, and just establishing both of those is like a solid brand. And that just means, brand in every sense of the word. I think that this channel is going to somewhat be me sort of documenting that process. So like going through, what's the colors, what's the fonts of Sunland News, like what's the meaning? Like to me, Sunland News is a call for home. It's a call for digging into your roots. It's a call for understanding who you are. And I feel like that's a universal idea. So like building that out and like, implementing that in sort of everything that gets posted is going to be tantamount to like building the newsletter and just the brand of Sunland. So, I'm hoping at some point, we combine all of those 3, and before the end of the year, I'm hoping to get 5,000 email subscribers. We'll see if we can do it. I'll document the whole process here. So anywho, I think I've overstayed my welcome. I tried to make this quick, as little cuts as possible, and there's a person revving a motorcycle outside the studio, so I gotta go. Peace. Peace, love, and happiness. Let's get together and be all right. I will see you later. Thanks for watching.